because they do run into the ref every once in a while. That said, I'm actually doing better with up there. I actually prefer the high skill players because they generally don't hit you.
Well, because they're used to looking up. Like these kids coming down now, they can't be hit, so they're a little bit on the edge of out of control.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I could see where that would be true.
It's one of the things, like I refed Boston Metro League for a while, and they still have checking at all levels, including mites.
Okay.
The funny thing is that you know what? The funny thing is that if you let them check before they want to,
yeah,
or before they're
mature,
they know how to take a check,
yeah,
and they only check when it makes sense.
Well, and they check to play the puck instead of playing the body instead, and that all the things that the rules are trying to teach these kids. I mean, they don't know enough to go out and try to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
The little ones.
But you've seen, I'll tell you, occasionally I've pulled teams aside and said, hey, pay attention. Because I'm watching this kid. I've never seen a bunch of kids so attentive. It's like, But I had a kid, if this is the boards here, I had a kid take a loose puck and stand here, trying to figure out what to do with the puck.
Yeah.
And I finally I told him, look, guys, look, as a safety measure, I was explaining to him, but all their ears paired up. It's like, look, if you stand here and somebody checks you legally, okay, you're going over backwards and you're going to have a broken collarbone and you're going to be out for half a season.
Yeah.
If you stand against the boards and do the same thing, nothing.
Right. Yeah. No, that's absolutely right.
And I understand the concussion side of things. But the thing that's the thing that's not getting taught now is now they've played without having to worry about getting hit.
Exactly.
So then they or they'll be fishing the puck out of the boards like this with their back to the center of the ice.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a big penalty, but you're still going to be injured.
Oh, I know. I mean, the penalty's the lesser of the concern, right? Yeah. No matter what you call, too, to some degree, if you set a tone early in the game with your calls, you might avoid some of that. But the reality is a lot of those happen in just kind of obscure gameplay where you really can't do much about them.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there are teams and games where you have to settle everybody down, I'm sure, and I'm sure you see more of those than I do. But my two older kids now are 14, and we see more and more and more of just a couple of kids that get way out of hand. And it's tough because you're right. They haven't grown up doing it. This is really the first set of ages now that have not grown up doing it.
Yeah. In some ways, I'd rather see checking and non-checking divisions, and I don't mean boys and girls all the way up.
Yeah.
If you follow me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it would be good for the high skill players to be able to play high skill no check also.
Yeah, we keep kids in the game longer.
It also exercises different sets of skills.
No question, but it would be harder for them to then translate those to juniors or whatever.
I'm saying I could see playing on both teams at the same time.
Yeah, or again, it gives somebody who
really isn't into
and is not going to get hurt, and they're not. If you get the kids who are much more afraid, then at least it gives them an outlet to play, and it doesn't eliminate them from the game. And I think that's where USA hockey is headed, is that you're eliminating kids from the game too late. And by the time they realize they don't really want to check and all that, they're just starting to check. And it's causing some problems where there shouldn't have been.
Yeah. Well, I'm also, the other thing I'm not a terrible fan is also they've got ridiculous mandatory penalties on everything. I would like, to be honest with you as a referee, to have some granularity. I mean, like I ref high school lacrosse for 16 years, and I just kind of burn out. It'd be kind of cool if hockey had something like the 30-second technical from lacrosse. You have the equivalent of a push with possession in lacrosse. That's 30 seconds, or a loss of the ball. The problem where USA's been going is I got no slaps on the wrist I can use. Because I want to be able to just nudge them back a little.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as again, you know better than I do from either your own games or ones that you see with, you get a lot of times where the referees are in between. One guy is letting things go and the other is not, and then one guy is warning and the other guy is going straight to penalty.
Yeah.
And the problem then becomes the kids don't know the difference.
Yeah.
And the kids aren't keeping track of which referee's which and all of that. And as you probably guessed, I videotape a lot of games.
Yeah.
And going back and watching them, then just from game to game, the variation in what's okay and what isn't okay causes a lot of problems for kids. Because, one game, they're getting plastered, they're getting boarded, they're getting whatever. Then the next game, all the hooking's called. I'd much rather see just a consistent, like you said, if you're just trying to, instead of giving a kid a warning, if you could sit them aside for 30 seconds or even, if nothing else, just tell the kid to leave the ice and have a mandatory shift change, which I know you do a little bit, but not quite the same way. I think it would drive a lot more standardization with the kids.
I have been known to skate by a bench and tell the coach number 16 needs to sit down now.
Well, and you should.
Which usually gets a thank you.
Well,
in other words, you deal with it or I will.
And you should, but and if they choose not to, then of course that leaves you with having to deal with it. But at least then the kids understand, what they're facing and what they should do and how they should do it.
Yeah. Well, I find the kids generally get it. It's the coaches that are the problem.
A lot of times that's true.
I mean, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, doing kids sports, it's a big part of my job is protecting the kids from the adults.
Hold on just 1 second. Hey, what's going on? Of course, I'm up here videotaping. Where I always am. I'm always in the corner here videotaping when I'm not standing next to you. Amy's looking right, other side, Shell. Right up here in the corner. Right up here in the corner. Hey, Shell, corner. The corner near the entrance. No, I'm standing right above the corner. Okay, you're just not going to see me, so, of course. I'm going to pick him up, but I just have a conference call that I have to take, so as soon as this is over, I'm going to run out and head over to get him, and I've just got to take a conference call from the car. No, I'll just take this one. It's fine. Why does that matter? Oh, okay. All right. All right, then hurry out right after the game and hand me the keys. All right, bye. Good for me that this went to running clock.
Oh, yeah.
I'm supposed to have a 2 o'clock conference call.
Right. Oh. Yeah, the other thing is, it's like, actually one of the things they taught us when I started doing lacrosse, this is something that, a lot of parents don't get is, head official meeting, always just drilling the new guys. Look, when push comes to shove, there's only 3 rules. Protect the player's safety, make sure no one gets an unfair advantage, and keep the game moving.
I know, it's the keep the game moving part, though. Yeah. So I used to take the train into the city, and I'd sit next to a referee, and he took that to mean don't call anything unless somebody dies. And he'd say, I'm not going to call a penalty on anybody for anything unless it really looks like, they're either going to get a fight. And he said, the only reason I even do that is so they don't slow the game down. Right. And I said, at some point, when do you actually care for the health of the kids? And he goes, well, I really don't, because they're not really going to get hurt until they get to 17, 18 years old, they're not going to get hurt anyway. It's like, really? Because we've had a number of kids with concussions, and especially middle school type games. Those kids, there's such a discrepancy in age and size, and that's he does a lot of those games, and that's the painful part, especially as a parent. We count on you guys to abide by the rules and those 3 rules, right?
But again, it is those 3 rules. Those 3 rules are in order. In other words,
yes, that's
safety
right.
comes first.
Exactly.
You call safety, you call unfair advantage, you don't call every violation of the rules that occurs on the playing surface if there wasn't a safety or.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
And so some of the sticking, or some of the the hooking, some of the tripping, all of that sort of stuff. If the puck turns over in a dangerous area, it's clearly you got to call it, or vice versa.
I had to do the explanation for then of course when you remember like USA cranked down the standard about 5-10 years ago. I forget when it was.
I wasn't involved in hockey then, but.
When they really cranked it because they wanted to get rid of the clutching, grabbing in the corners and all that kind of stuff. So I spent the first half of that doing nothing but GBL midgets, and almost exclusively 4 teams: Charlestown, Southie, Dorchester, and Quincy.
So all the best ones, who I'm sure have really embraced the rule change.
Well, part of the reason I ended up doing them was because I'd come from. I also do a lot of the high-end EHF games.
Okay.
And no, that's where I developed the standard for meatheads. Okay, which is because the problem was the first part of that season they were averaging like 50 penalties a game, and the kids couldn't figure it out, and whatever. So I take the standard for meatheads is the adaptation of those what I gave you from lacrosse.
Yeah.
Except it's like this. Look, we're looking for we've always been looking for safety and unfair advantage, and this year we're giving penalties for lazy. In other words, I don't care if it shows up as hooking, holding, or tripping. It's 2 minutes for putting your stick where it doesn't belong when your feet.
That's exactly right. Move your feet, and you got a chance to not have a call.
And getting caught sleeping shows up as interference.
A lot of times, absolutely, as well it should, right? And that's the other part is you really shouldn't in any sport give a kid a break for not doing what he really should do.
So if you get caught, like I said, if you get caught sleeping, you can't cream the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I was also known. That was when I had more, That would be back when I had the goatee and was basically I read and I preferred rather than playing the ref acts like a cop card, I used to play the ref looks like a biker card. You're even, right? That's short for I saw the hook, I saw the slash, it's over, or you can both sit down.
That's right.
I don't care. And by the way, never underestimate the power of the dirty look.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because there's a lot of times where if you even if you don't call it, you acknowledge it, usually in front of the other player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Certainly
Words,
that would help, so they don't just.
You think I didn't see that? Or, yeah, if you're going to call that after what you did back there.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, those sorts of things I don't mind. It's when, again, I get a referee standing next to me on a train every day telling me he's not going to call anything unless somebody pulls out a gun and shoots somebody else. And then you watch him referee a game, and that's true.
Stands in Charlestown. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, that I believe, or in Southie.
But just with that explanation, I got him down to about 15 penalties the first week, and
nice.
Worked our way down from there.
Nice, that's good.
I actually think what's actually nice about those guys is, okay, they also count their penalty minutes. So you tell them to go to the box, they do. You don't usually get an argument. I think I once told a Charlestown coach I gave his kid 2 minutes for being stupid.
And the coach say, well, you should have given him 10, you should see him at home.
He laughed. Well, it was one of these cases, it was a retaliation. And it's like, I'm sure he did something to you, but next time you do that, would you at least make sure the entire place doesn't know I saw you do it?
That's right.
It isn't for what you did, it's where you did it, like right in front of the ref.
And in open ice right in front of the ref with a one-on-one play, that tends to draw some ire from the other fans.
The fact of it is that you have to understand too. It's like we always see the second one.
Oh, I know.
And just realistically, right?
No, I know.
You hear the first one, and
well,
you look.
and that's it. No, and I understand, and a lot of times though, you also, again, through some of these discussions with this other person, he said, a lot of times I even see the first one, but I'm not inclined to really want to make a call until the second guy, and then it's just punitive on the second person.
Yeah, that's lame.
It is. That doesn't give us a good view of